Welcome back to Big Country Politics on KTAB.
Hello and welcome to this week's Sunday Conversation here on Big Country Politics. I'm Manny Diaz. This week our special guest is Hannah Durbin. She is an author of this wonderful book here, Maeve's Mighty Mission, which is really, really cool. We're going to talk a little bit about this coming up. But before we do that, Hannah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You have quite the interesting background. You're currently a member of the United States Air Force, and then you are an adjunct professor of political science at McMurry University, and now you are a children's book author of this wonderful book, Maeve's Mighty Mission, promoting democracy.
Yes.
Is that kind of you in a nutshell there?
That's the goal. Yeah, everything tries to tie back to making America better and contributing to our democracy wherever we can.
There we go. Well, let's touch on certainly we'll kind of peel back the onion on you here for a bit.
Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck. You're from Kentucky. You got here to Texas, I'm assuming, as fast as you could.
Yeah, sprinted down. Just had a few detours along the way.
So you are a member of the United States Air Force, and you serve here at Dyess Air Force Base, correct?
Yes. So my husband and I moved here about a year ago from Germany. We were there for 3 years, and then we're lucky enough to get Dyess as our next assignment.
Wow. That's cool. And you've been in the Air Force for roughly 7 years?
Yeah, getting close.
Man, that's a hot minute there.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Yeah. But you have 13 more years to go until you can officially call it retirement?
Yeah, I think that's the plan.
So it's like 12 years and some odd days.
Yeah, I'm not counting.
There we go.
Yep.
There we go. Well, you're also like I said, you're also an adjunct professor of political science at McMurry University, member of the Air Force. Professor, tell me about how you fit that into a single day, a single week?
Yeah, I'm really fortunate to have some supportive leadership at Dyess, and they know that my passion kind of lies in the political world, which, the military is apolitical, so have to be careful in that realm, but they're fully supportive of the education aspect. And so just being able to have those conversations with McMurry students once a week, or twice a week, one class a week, to just be able to kind of see what's on their minds and tie it back into our democracy experiment and where we're going and see where the next generation is thinking or what they're thinking is really, really impactful.
Well, we just went through just a bananas election that, the politicos all across the country were just saying it was going to be just a very a very tight race, and it turned out to be pretty much a one-sided race. But you teach young people, the future minds of America, if you will, at McMurry. Tell me what's that experience like, and how are young people viewing politics these days? Is that on the forefront of their minds? Because I know at one point, whenever I was in college, that was not.
Yeah, fortunately, there are political science majors and sociology majors that I'm chatting with, so I think they're more politically inclined, but my class is actually political theory, so we start all the way back with Plato and Aristotle and ancient Greece, but one of the neat things we do is try to connect everything to current events. Plato's not that useful if you just read about what he was doing in ancient Greece, right? But if you can tie some of his ideas to the issues that we're facing today, then it becomes really impactful and the students start to think more about it. So I think it's lots of good conversations because we frame it through these lenses that are not necessarily controversial. Everyone knows Plato said things, he did important stuff. Right. And so if we look at contemporary issues that maybe are controversial through that lens, then we get some really interesting perspectives from the students.
I hate to put you on the spot. Well, what are some of the things that you talk about? Because that seems very interesting.
Oh, man, we talk through everything. The students have opinions on everything from, I've learned a lot about Texas politics from my students. They're very, very plugged in to some of the House bills that the Texas legislature has taken up. Everyone has opinions, obviously on some of the more national political issues. But really, I've just been so impressed with how the students can bring back the conversations, and it's always respectful dialogue. I know some of my students disagree on things, but they're always engaging and respectful with one another, no matter how contentious the issue is. So I've been really impressed with them.
Sure. Do you think young people now are probably more plugged into the political realm than perhaps what they were 5, 10, 15 years ago?
The information sure tries to find them. And I think, we heard this so much with the election, like these unreachable voters. Where are the young people and how can we find them? And I know both campaigns focused on that a lot. So I think even if students try to kind of hide from it, it's hard to. And then politics has just entered so many realms of our life that it's hard to avoid it, and it's good to just at least know that it's there and how it's impacting you and influencing you.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that perhaps going through your class and hearing these political theory and all about this subject matter, do you think they actually voted? They participated in this election?
Yeah, they were all active. We had class on election day actually, so 8 a.m. chatted with all of them, and they were making sure they had their time to go vote. And yeah, I think they're very, very plugged in group of kids.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're in the Air Force. You do that, and now we're going to talk about writing a book. Where do you find time?
My planner is my best friend. No, I care a lot about this stuff, and I'm not someone who can just sit on my hands and kind of watch. And so I see, for our democracy to continue to be successful, we really need informed citizens. We need excited citizens. And even though I'm around a group of young people that are generally plugged in, I think I sense a lot more apathy in our democratic system than I've seen in a while. And it's one thing if people are mad or angry, because that means they care. But when people start to get apathetic and just, I don't care, it doesn't make a difference, that really kind of breaks my heart. And so I wanted to make sure that I made this a priority and started doing something about it.
Well, that's a great segue. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, more with Hannah Durbin. She is the author of this children's book, Maeve's Mighty Mission, on democracy, promoting democracy, because that's what we need to hear about, certainly as we just got done with this wild and crazy election time. That and more coming up right here on Big Country Politics.
Welcome back to Big Country Politics on KTAB.
Well, welcome back to our Sunday conversation here on Big Country Politics. This week, our special guest is Hannah Durbin. She is the author of Maeve's Mighty Mission. She's also a member of the United States Air Force and adjunct professor of political science at McMurry University. Hannah, we had a unique conversation in the first segment talking about young people and pretty much them being introduced to politics, because my gosh, just going through this political cycle here was just bananas. But you have this book, Maeve's Mighty Mission, and you're really trying to reach a whole nother demographic here, another age group. Tell me about this book. Give me the nuts and bolts, the genesis of this book.
Yeah, so Maeve goes on a little adventure to figure out what she wants to be when she grows up, right? Like so many kids do. And she kind of gets a little disgruntled because she goes from job to job and she doesn't quite find the right fit. And then she sits down to have a conversation with her dad and says, I like this about this job and I like this about another, but these other things don't really fit with me. He has a conversation with her and says, well, you know what, Maeve, your whole identity basically isn't in your career. Part of it is being a citizen in a democracy, and that is something that's really, really valuable. And so she takes that idea and then shares it with her classmates and her friends and really tries to promote this idea that being a citizen and a participant in a democracy is something that's really valuable and fulfilling.
That's awesome. What was the inspiration behind this book? Because, to talk about democracy with children, it's probably like going one ear out the other. What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, I was really fortunate to have two parents who care a lot about this stuff. And my parents took me to vote for the first time when I was doing the math, 5 months old. And there's a picture, outside the voting booth. And I went with them pretty much every year until I graduated and got to vote for myself. So then when I got to college, I realized that not everyone had that experience, and it kind of started chugging in the back of my head about how can we start to have those conversations early and give parents the resources they need. Maybe politics doesn't have to be everybody's hobby, but it is kind of a responsibility that falls onto everybody being in a democracy. So how can we share that?
Yeah. Have you been able to share this book with some other youngins or up and coming politicians?
Yeah, hopefully. It published about a month ago, so still really early stages, but got it in some schools back home in Kentucky, and then hoping to get connected with the schools here. And then we're actually going to do a reading next weekend at 7 and 1 Books downtown, 12 o'clock. So we'll be plugged in with another local author that's kind of has similar interests, and hopefully get to meet some new young citizens.
Now, this book, it's not only promoting democracy and just a fantastic message, but it's also giving back to our community. Tell us about this, because you have a 2-for-1 at this point,
Yeah, like you said, I do a lot and I try to make it all fit together and help. So Last January, when I talked about I can't really sit on my hands, I had some ideas about a scholarship I wanted to start to reward kind of civic leadership when people are doing things to make the community better. So not just volunteering or doing well at school or sports, but these behaviors that we want to foster in future citizens. And so I had this idea. I talked to someone about it. And I said, am I crazy? And they said, if you're crazy, Abilene's the right place for you because we have this amazing nonprofit that exists and it's easy. So thankfully, Community Foundation of Abilene has been phenomenal. And so I opened a fund with them. It's called Salute to Citizens. And that fund is actually advertised in all the schools in Abilene right now, which is great. And the first scholarship will pay out in the springtime to our first, young citizen that's kind of exemplified these characteristics. And all the proceeds from MAVE go in to support that fund.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay. So has this book officially hit the shelves anywhere?
it is. It is at 7 and 1 downtown, and then it's also on Amazon.
Okay. And then so you said it's kind of had a little test run in Kentucky so far.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Just I haven't been home yet since, but a lot of the local schools, places I graduated from, were excited to kind of put it in the library. And next time I'm home, I'll go read.
What's been like the perception with the young people there? Are they kind of like, oh, that's kind of interesting?
No, I think people like the story. It rhymes, that helps, and the illustrations just are phenomenal. My illustrator Kate did such a good job. It's really engaging. So. Generally well received. Hopefully that continues.
What was the biggest thing that you wanted to? I mean, obviously democracy, freedom, but what was the biggest thing that you really wanted to hammer home with this particular book?
Yeah, I really want, when people ask you what you are, what you do, people say, I'm a mom or I'm this is my job, and we really don't think about being a citizen or an American. That falls so much lower for some people, and so I really want to try to get that identity early and to show that there's value in it and that politics doesn't have to be something that is always partisan or angry or energy zapping or intensive. It can be something that's valuable in this community and this space that really fulfills people.
That's an interesting thing. Nonpartisan. Imagine
Oh,
that
it's yeah.
concept.
I know.
Wow, and because this day and age, I mean, you just see it. It's either one side or the other. Anything that goes in that realm.
Yeah, I mean, we're all part of the same country, the same team, right? At the end of the day, and there's different tribes, but we have the same goals, and we all want America to be the best place it can be. And so hopefully we can start to regain some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Hannah, I appreciate your time today. My goodness, you have your hands full daily. I mean, from being a member of the United States Air Force, adjunct professor, and then author of this wonderful book here.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the conversation.
Yes, thank you for your time. For Ms. Hannah Durbin, author of Maeve's Mighty Mission, this has been another Sunday conversation right here on Big Country Politics. I'm Manny Diaz. We'll see you next time. God bless.